Hello and welcome to our presentation about reading and the test that is required to pass for graduation. We want to make sure that you know how to sign up for the test, how to target what needs to be improved to take the test, how to prepare, how to practice. We want you to have all the information. We want parents involved so that you know exactly what we're doing at the school to get students ready, and students, you know what you can do on your own, and your parents know what you can do on your own, so that juniors, you can get this test score before your senior year, and seniors, that you're going to get your test score that you need so that you can graduate in May. It is a state requirement to pass a reading test, and we're going to go into all the details here. So thank you so much for taking time out to watch this. So what is the test for? Again, you have to pass this test to graduate. We use the FSA test. You take it in 10th grade, and if you pass it, that's fine. You've met your graduation requirement. If not, we're going to give it every year until you meet the score that you need. Now, in 11th and 12th grade, students start to take the ACT or the SAT. This happens for college-bound students too. So these tests are naturally taken in the junior and senior year. So the state allows us to use those tests to get a concordant score, a score that is going to be used in place of the FSA. So you actually have 3 tests that you can pass to get your reading score met, not just one test. Listen to this student's testimonial and hear how she passed the reading test.
Hi, I'm Maddie Gettings. I'm a senior at Summerlin Military Academy. I've been in reading since my sophomore year. I finally completed reading, passed my ACT this semester, like my first semester.
Okay, so you are now out of intensive reading,
yes,
is that correct? Awesome, congratulations.
Thank you.
So tell me a little bit about what went on in the reading class to help you get prepared for your tests.
We took a lot of grammar courses, we did a lot of grammar tests. Yeah, my biggest part was grammar that I needed to work on. Reading wasn't my hardest thing. Grammar was mostly the thing that I needed the most help on, because when I took my SAT during the summer of last year, grammar is what I scored the lowest on.
You were able to identify what you needed to address to do better on your test. So I bet that helps you get ready for college also.
Yes, ma'am.
That's amazing. Well, I know the reading teachers are really good. Which reading teachers did you have?
I had Miss Scott my junior year, and then I had Miss Wing my senior year.
Awesome. Well, they're both really good, and they both speak really highly of you. And I would like for you just to give some words of encouragement to our current juniors and seniors who haven't passed the reading, because you're in a sort of a unique situation. You are currently the second highest GPA at Summerlin Academy. You make all A's. You're an amazing student. You take hard classes such as AP, and yet you still hadn't passed the reading. And I know that must have been frustrating for you, but can you just share what kept you going? How did you not get frustrated not having passed that test?
Well, the easiest thing is not to stress, because once you start stressing, your nerves get so heightened, and you can't go into the test thinking, oh, I need to pass it, oh, I need to do this, I need to do that, because you're not going to focus on your test. You're not going to do anything. You're just going to sit there and stress.
What finally clicked for you? What do you think it was that helped you finally pass that test?
So we had a talk with Ms. Brister when we were doing my senior council, and she was like, you just need to go ahead and do all the ones that you know. Go through and do all the ones that you know. So that's what I did, and I actually got the highest I've ever scored on the
So
SAT.
It was your test strategy.
Yeah, I got a new test strategy, and I passed.
So do you think that sometimes it's not really how well someone reads, it's how well someone tests?
Yes.
Yes, so do I. And so the strategy that you used was going through and answering all the ones that you knew, and then going back and taking more time on the ones that were harder. Is that correct?
Yes, but I think a different test strategy is different for each person, though.
That's true. Very good. And you brought out a good point earlier, as you identified what you were scoring weak on. So that's where that test prep can really make a difference. Do you have anything else you want to tell juniors or seniors who may be where you were a semester ago?
I know that time management isn't the easiest part. Oh, I need to study, oh, I need to do this paperwork, oh, I have a sport. I've been there. I know how that is. But take the bit of time to study and know your test strategy, because that is everything. That could change your 19, and that could change your 16 to a 19. That could change your 19 to a 21.
Awesome. You know, I wish you were going to be a reading teacher when you grow up, but I know that you're probably going to be in the medical field. But I do appreciate you so much for sharing this, and I'm sure that it's going to help other students. So thank you so much, Matt.
Yes, ma'am, of course.
So the thing that she said that really stands out to me is she identified the area that she needed to improve on. And the reading teachers are awesome about doing that, because when you look at your test scores, it will give you a score, a breakdown of the areas that you know, how you scored in each area. So you can target, oh, it was grammar, or it's comprehension. You're able to do that. And maybe not on your own. You may need your reading teacher to help you interpret those tests, but that's going to make a huge difference. They're probably going to know already, because when you're in intensive reading, you do data, you do student progress monitoring. So they're always looking at your data. They're always looking from quarter to quarter, are you making gains? Because that helps them know if they're being effective or not. And the reading teachers, they're trained, highly trained. It's hard to get reading teachers that have the certification that we need for reading teachers to teach students who haven't passed the reading. So what you're getting when you have our reading teachers on our campus is something that you probably, or if you're like me, you couldn't afford it if you went to try to find it on your own. So it's an amazing opportunity. I've even had students that have passed the reading that didn't want to come out of intensive reading, and I've never seen that at any school I've ever been at. Everybody wanted to get out of reading because they felt like it was punishment, but these teachers really help students improve in many, many ways, and it's very personal, individualized what they're targeting. So let's talk about the FSA test and how it's scored and how the levels are. So again, you're going to take it every year. There's 5 levels: level 1, level 2, level 3, 4, and 5. Level 3 is proficient. So if you're 3, 4, or 5, you're good to go in that 10th grade test. But if you're a level 1 or a 2, then you have not scored a proficient score according to the state. 350 is the number you're looking at, but the level is 3. So if you haven't done that, then what happens? Well, we're going to test you again. You're going to be in intensive reading, but we're going to talk about a little bit more in detail what you can do. So in the intensive reading class, again, they're taught by highly trained teachers. They have to have a specific certification to teach this class. So it's not just anybody. It's somebody who has that specific certificate to come in and target what each student needs to work on. And again, they do progress monitoring to make sure they're on the right track with you. They also do practice tests for the FSA and other tests. So once a student is in the 11th grade, they start to prepare for the ACT and the SAT for college admissions if they're college bound. We'd like all students to do that, because sometimes at senior year they might not think they were college bound in junior year, but senior year they decide that they are college bound. So we always want everybody to have the most choices at the end. So we assume that we're going to have all students work on the ACT and the SAT in their junior and senior year. So primarily the ACT and the SAT were designed for college admission. You take them on your own on a Saturday, and this is one of the reasons we wanted to do this presentation, to make sure parents were aware of what we're telling your student. They need to take these tests on their own, because we only have so much time at the school to test. It seems like we're always testing, and maybe once a year we can give the seniors an ACT for free. That wouldn't be a college reportable test, but how do you increase your odds? You increase your odds by taking the test more times. So we want to make sure that you understand the whole process. So ACT and SAT taken in junior year typically. Usually it's the second semester after you've gotten yourself ready, but hopefully you've taken it and don't have to take it your senior year unless you need a higher score for a scholarship or a college admission, or in this case, you haven't met the reading requirement. So starting in 11th grade, you can use the concordant score on the ACT and the SAT. And so they start working with you on preparing for these tests as well. So let's talk about the ACT. That's the first one they work with you on. Now, they do a lot of stuff in the reading class specifically for this, but what can you do on your own besides what they give you? Well, you can go to act.org, which is the testing website, not the website where you take the test, but the website where you sign up for the test and learn about the test. And they have lots of resources, even resources in Spanish, so that if your first language is not English, but you want to learn all the test preps, you can learn a lot of stuff in Spanish. So it's an amazing website. It's you can do personalized prep there. There's lots of free practice tests. As I mentioned, you can take a test usually once a year. If you're a senior, we can do that. These tests are very expensive, but we do try to give you a chance to take that on the campus. But one test a year sometimes isn't enough to give you the odds you need to pass this test. SAT is going to be found on collegeboard.org. And they've partnered with Khan Academy, and it's excellent, excellent prep. If you've ever used Khan Academy, you know how good that prep is. So they see, for instance, okay, if you're a junior, the last time that you took a test that would be on this website would be when you took the PSAT. So it would see that PSAT score, and then it would give you a personalized study guide. It will see where you're scoring low, and it will have you work on that. It will target what you need work on. If it's been a while since you've taken the PSAT, then your best bet is to take a new practice test and let that test be your starting point, because you've made a lot of gains. If you're a senior, you definitely want to, if you've never taken the SAT, you definitely want to make sure that you're starting fresh with a new test, because you've made a lot of skills. You've gained a lot of skills since the PSAT. Now, the score that you're looking for, I sent out in an email an attachment that had all the dates of the SAT, how to study, and the concordance scores. But for the reading on the ACT, you need an 18 on average of the reading and English. So how I look at it is, when I look at the reading and English score, if it adds up to 36, I know the student passed. So it's got to average to an 18 between the reading and the English. On the SAT, what you're looking for on the reading section is a 480. So if you get that score, that is a concordant score, which will suffice for your reading test. That means that you are going to graduate when you've met those scores. So how does intensive reading class prepare you for this? So you're going to learn the structure of how those tests are on the actual test. They're going to teach you what is the structure of this test. How much time per each section, the number of questions, the type of questions, the examples of passages that you're going to be reading, evaluating, and answering, and the best ways to do that. They're going to go over strategies and techniques so that when you're taking the test, you're a pro. You already know how. A lot of this test prep is, if you play a sport, if you want to be, if you're in baseball and you want to be better at bat, you don't just keep playing the game. You have batting practice so that when you go to the game, you know what to do. If you're a musician, you don't wait till the concert to hope you're better. You practice on your own until you get it polished. When you do that, it takes away a lot of the nerves. It gives you a lot of confidence, and it maximizes your opportunity when you're sitting for that test. Tests are stressful. Tests take a lot of time, and tests cost a lot of money. So you're going to be thinking smart here, and you're going to make sure that when you take that test, you've done everything that you can to increase your odds of passing it. Now, you're also given opportunities in that class to do practice tests, time practice tests. You should do this at home too. Once you get to the point where you're doing the practice tests, do them at home. Tell everybody in your house, hey, I'm going to be doing a practice test. Don't be loud. Don't knock on my door. And turn your phone off, turn your TV off, and set your timer and get used to the pace of this test. So that when you're sitting in the test environment, you know, I can't sit here and spend too much time because I only, I have to get through this test. But you're going to already be used to the pace of that test. The other great thing about reading is that you're going to track your data. So you're going to see what strategies work best for you. So it's going to be trial and error while you practice, but it's going to help you be a smarter test taker, because you're going to identify what you need to work on in the class with an expert teacher. Another thing that they use is Crack.com. It's a program that they use. And your students, if you're watching this, you already know about Crack.com. Can you practice it at home? Yes. Reading teachers have noticed that a lot of our students struggle on the English because of their like grammar and sentence structure. So oftentimes, like you heard Maddie talk about it in her testimonial. It wasn't her reading that was the issue. It was her sentence structure. A lot of times students have gaps. In other words, somewhere along the line they missed it. I think I had one in math. I struggled in math. We all have them somewhere. So identifying your weakness is your key to success. So you want to make sure that you know what you need to work on. So if it's grammar, well, that's easy. Now you know. So how are you going to fix it? Well, you're going to do everything that targets grammar. You're going to get that in English. You're going to get that in history. A lot of classes overlap. If you need practice on commas, just do a Google search, high school comma worksheet, and you're going to come up with a million resources. The internet makes it so easy. If you don't understand, when do I use a semicolon? What is subject-verb agreement? They talk about this all the time, and I really don't understand it. That's fine. Google it. Learn it on your own. This is what you want to do for anything that you don't know. This is what's going to make you a better person, is to learn on your own. When you're learning on your own and not counting on somebody to tell you, you're taking ownership. So right now, what we're encouraging juniors and seniors to do is to be intentional. You're taking ownership of what you need to do to graduate. It's not us nagging you. It's you being self-motivated. The problem sometimes is we don't know what to do. So that's why we're trying to put this all concise for you. And that's why we're trying to get parents involved so that we are all working towards the same goal. And that's to help you graduate so that you can move on with your life. And oftentimes this is making a huge difference in you personally as well, because now you're going to be a better reader or writer. And you need that for jobs as well, or college. So, again, it's good to know where you need to improve. Another little skill is just simply to read. A lot of people in intensive reading don't like to read, so they don't read. You got to read. You got to practice. That in itself is going to help you. So on your own, you're going to practice what you learn in class. You're going to do test prep. ACT calls it test prep. And then you're going to do practice test. On SAT, you're going to use Khan Academy and let it target what you're weak on. And then do those practice tests. Because once you do all the practice with Khan Academy, it's going to prompt you at some point to do a practice test. You're going to do all of these things before you take that $60 test. You don't want to sit for these tests any more than you have to. They take a long time. You have to you have to go early on a Saturday. You don't want to do all that 100 times when you could do it once and get it right the first time. Other places that you can go, there's really a lot of places that you can go on the internet. March to Success is an excellent website. It has practice tests. It's not personalized, but there's a lot of practice tests there. You can do your own research. Talk to your reading teacher if you're stuck about where can I go. So test or time, that's another problem that people have, is often it's the time. So that's something that you just have to work really hard on, strategies. You got to know this too. This test does not define you. It's not defining your intelligence or anything like that. Some people just don't test well. So you can get better at it though. There's a lot of things we're not good at that we can get better at. We don't just give up. So know what you know and how well you test. It's those two things, what you know and how well you know the test. So know the test. So making the best use of time. So Maddie mentioned a strategy that I had actually mentioned to her in her senior conference. It baffled me. And a lot of students baffle me. How did they not pass that test? This girl makes all A's. That's not an accident. That's because she's smart and she works really hard. How was she not passed the test? So as I started to ask her a lot of questions, it just dawned on me, what might be happening to her in the test. And she made a good point. Everybody has to find their own strategy. This strategy may not be the best strategy for you, but it was for me and it worked for Maddie, and I was very happy to know that. But you go through the test and you answer what you know. You don't sit there and struggle. If you're not sure, come back to it. Answer the ones that you know. Go all the way through the test and come back to the ones that you're not sure of, because you know how sometimes you get through that, and then a lot of times when you go back to one that you couldn't think of earlier, it's come to you by now because it's something triggered that in your memory, or maybe your nerves got a little calmer and it came to you. So don't sit there and waste time going, I can't think of it. Move on and come back. So when you come back, you'll probably know most of them. And if you can cycle through it 3 times, that's fine too, but at least cycle through it 2 times. Because the second time you can spend some more time on it. Many answers are going to come to you when you do that. Now, I didn't mention this, but I think it comes later in the presentation, but it might not hurt to have it said twice. If you get to the end and you have 5 and you don't, or 6, and you don't have time to answer it, you see the timers going off. The strategy is that you, this is the screen with it. You don't leave anything blank, because you're not penalized for guessing. You're penalized for leaving it blank. If you leave it blank, it's the same as wrong. So you're going to guess. And in these tests, it's A, B, C, D, and then the next question is going to be E, F, G, H, and then it's A, B, C, D. So I want to say, pick B and go all the way through, but sometimes it's A, B, C, D, E, F, G, H. So let's talk about columns. So these are columns. So it'd be B and F, you see. So you're going to pick the columns and stay with the same column all the way through. There's 4 columns. You're going to stay with the first, second, third, or fourth column, every one that you don't know. The odds are then you're going to get at least 25% right. But if you Christmas tree and just randomly guess, you could actually guess all wrong. So just about every testing book I've ever read that talked about strategies, and your reading teachers will tell you the same thing, pick one and go with it. And it's usually the reading teachers, I know what they tell you is the second or third column. I think it's excellent advice. Your odds will increase. Okay, now ACT. Always read the blurb. This is you. If you're a student on here, this is, I'm sure you've heard Miss Wing or Miss Scott or Major Durham or whoever tell you these things, because these are the things that are said in class. And parents, we want you to know what the teacher says so that you can help encourage your students. Always read the blurb. Underline lead words such as names and dates and bold words. Those are emphasized, repeated, italicized. And then actively skim the nonfiction passages for your answers. Online referenced questions, reading 5 lines before and after. Sometimes you don't have to read every single thing. This is going to save you time. This is being smart in your test. Vocabulary questions, the words are in the context. Those are the easiest, so answer those first. Those usually are the easiest ones to answer. Never leave anything blank. And this is, again, the letters. A or F, B or G, C or H, D or J. Okay, actively skim your passages. Most test items can be answered by reading just the sentence of the underlying test item. Sometimes that's right where the answer is. Maintain your subject-verb agreement throughout the passage. Maintain parallelism throughout the passage. Never leave any answers blank. Again, pick a letter of the day and use throughout the test when unsure, but I know that most people will say that you want to use B or G or C or H. Always choose the shortest or the second shortest, most concise, precise answer choice. Never choose the real wordy ones. That's usually just to throw you off. And don't be afraid to select the delete, omit, the underlined portion, because that's right half of the time. When a test item is testing the use of a comma, choose the one that has 1 or 2 commas. Very seldom in sentences are we going to use 3 or 4 commas. So if it's a sentence that has 3 or 4 commas, you can pretty much assume that one is not the answer. That's not how we typically write. Usually you have 1 comma, at the most 2. So on the SAT, these are things you need to know. Know what to expect. 65 minutes to answer 52 questions. asking the meaning of the words in context, the author's purpose, what's the main idea, and then how do you interpret that information on a graph. These are all things that you're going to practice. You're going to go in knowing how to do this. You're going to know how it feels to have to answer 52 questions in 65 minutes. You're going to be the master. You're going to choose your own order. You don't have to go in chronological order. You have control over that. All you need to know is you've got 52 questions in 65 minutes. Take dual passages one at a time. Save your main idea questions for last, and read what you need. Don't waste time. You don't have to read every single word sometimes to get the answer that you need. Focus on what you need to answer that question and skip over the unneeded details. That comes with practice. If you do that enough, you'll start to be able to do that pretty easily. Don't leave anything blank. This is said a lot. Same thing with the SAT as it is with the ACT. You don't leave anything blank. You pick a column. You'll get more right that way each time if you have to guess on the very end. So watch your time. All right, so let's go over these helpful reminders. Do not take the test without preparing, without doing test prep, and without doing practice tests. You're going to identify what you need to work on. You're going to work on it, and then you're going to practice the test. It's like going to batting practice, then you have catching practice, and then you have pitching practice, and then you play the game. At the beginning of baseball season, you don't go right to the game. You learn. You learn how to play the game. You learn how to get good at what you do. You're going to print your test ticket out in advance. All right, a lot of people, it's early on a Saturday morning. You can't do these things at the last minute. You can't wait till the night before the test when you should be in bed, going to bed early. You have to do this ahead of time. As a matter of fact, when you register for that test, you print your test ticket out right then. When I've helped people print these out, I've printed 5 for them. Put one in your wallet, one in your purse, one in your car, one in your backpack, wherever. But you have that test ticket ready in advance. This test ticket's going to have your picture. You're going to upload your picture to the website. And when you print out your ACT or your SAT test ticket, it's going to have your picture on it. You also have to have your ID. So make sure you take a picture ID when you go there. If you do not have that, they're not letting you in that test. ACT and SAT are extremely secure tests. That's why colleges value the test so much. When you take a test on Saturday, so do the students in Wisconsin and New York and Hawaii. Everybody's taking the same exact test on the same exact day. That's why when they see your score, colleges, then they know how you measure against your peers. So these tests are extremely secure, and the test scores are very, very valid, which is why the state lets us use them in lieu of the FSA. So now you have 3 tests that you can take. So get there early. If you're late, they're not going to let you in, and you really should set 100 alarms, and parents, please help them set an alarm. I know a parent one time felt really guilty because the student always did what they were supposed to, but they slept through their alarm, and it happens to the best of us. So, let's make it a point that everybody helps on that Saturday morning, that the person's up and ready to go, and you get there early so that you don't feel rattled or nervous, or like you almost didn't make it, or you get into a wreck or whatever. Things happen. Get there early. Eat well the night before. Same things we tell you since kindergarten. When you're going to take a test, you got to have your body fueled for it, and fuel is not sugar. So the night before, you're going to eat a good, healthy meal. You're going to go to bed in plenty of time. You're going to get up early enough to have something with protein in it. You're not going to eat a donut and a cup of coffee in the car on the way down there. That's not going to be good. We all know when we eat sugar, we have a drop. What you need is stamina, and what you need is energy. So what gives you that? That's protein. You got to eat healthy. So eat well. You're fueling yourself up like a car, right? You got to be running at optimum speed. Now bring a jacket or a hoodie because it might be cold in the testing environment. Bring a water bottle and an apple. There's a locker you're going to put your stuff in. If they have a break, maybe you can have it. Come prepared. Take care of yourself. You know what you need. Now, how do you sign up? Okay, so here's the websites. ACT, you're going to go to act.org. And you're gonna just search through the website. That is an amazing website. I, as a counselor, have learned tons of information on ACT's website and the website for SAT. But when you go into ACT.org, you're looking for test registration or register for test. You go in there. If you don't already have an account, you're going to make an account. When you put your zip code in, it's going to know what testing centers are the closest to your house. It might be Polk State. It might be Florida Southern, it might be Lake Region, who knows. But when you put your zip code in to do this, it's going to show you the testing centers that are closest to you, and you pick which testing center you want to go to. You pick your date. You're going to pay with a credit card. That's the only way you can pay on there unless you have a waiver. Now, I'm going to tell you what a waiver is. Everybody at Bartow and Summerlin and IB get free lunch. Not because everybody is in that income bracket, but because the majority of our students are. We get free lunch, okay? But for the waiver, ACT and SAT give the school a limited amount of waivers. And the rule is that you have to qualify for it. We can't just give everybody a waiver, or we will lose our ability to have waivers. So if you do qualify, then we are going to help you get waivers. We want to help you, but you have to turn in a form that your parent has to sign, and you have to put your income on it, and there's some questions on there. There's different ways to qualify. Your reading teachers will often have these forms, and they'll give them to you, and they're on green paper. And I know I give them to my students. Oh, I don't know. Sometimes I've given 4 out, and I don't get any back. So we really want you guys, if you qualify for the waiver, get it back to us right away. So we run out of these by the end of the year. We're out. So please take advantage of this opportunity. If you are a Summerlin student, this waiver form is on my Schoology. But all your reading teachers have them. If you get food stamps or you're in some sort of a government program, you'll qualify as well, but we need that on the form. Your parents are going to have to fill it out, check off the boxes, and sign it, and then you're going to turn it into your counselor, and the counselors are going to get you the waiver back. If you're at Summerlin, I usually text you on Remind and let you know it's waiting for you at the front office. That's how you don't even have to see me. I mean, you can. I want you to see me, but you don't have to. What does a waiver do? What does a waiver get you? If you qualify for the waiver, you're going to get 4 ACT test vouchers over the course of your high school time. You might not need 4. You might only need 2 or 1. You're going to get 2 SAT vouchers. And then when you get to be a senior and you're applying for college, you get 4 application fees waived. We also use the waivers for other things. It helps us know if you qualify for other programs sometimes that students need help with. So get us the waiver form back. If you can't, you just ask your reading teacher or go on Ms. Brister's Schoology. So how do I increase my odds of passing this test? Well, consistent test prep at home. Your reading teachers are amazing, and they do amazing things in that classroom. But here you are watching this as a junior or a senior. So you've had reading before, chances are. What are you going to do now? We're down to the end, and this is not to give you pressure, but this is to give you a clear idea, parents and students. What do we need to do? You don't want to wait to the last minute, so we're telling you now. Take more tests, but make sure that you're working at home in addition to what you're doing at school. You're going to make the most out of that reading class. It's free test prep. I couldn't afford it. What they do, if I tried to get that for my kids, I couldn't have afforded it. They're amazing. If you got private, went to Huntington or something like that, you're getting this you're getting better quality probably at the school. Not that Huntington's not good, but it's going to cost you so much money at Huntington. So don't look at reading as a punishment. It's not a punishment. It's an advantage. I've had students not want to come out because they got so much out of the class. And I've had so many people say, oh, Miss Wing's my favorite teacher. Oh, I love Miss Scott. You know, I've learned so much. And it's true. And they're very passionate about what they do. And I think the students feel that. So you're going to take a lot of practice tests, just like I mentioned before. Sports and music, the more you practice, the more proficient you get, the better you are. Taking the actual test is so much calmer. It's so much less anxiety provoking because you already know what to expect. You're not caught off guard. You are completely prepared, and you're going to feel so confident going in there knowing that you're ready for that test. So what are some things that we have noticed over the years that increase your odds besides what I just said? Well, attendance. The number one factor to success in school, whether it's GPA, college admission, passing the test, is attendance. Attendance is the biggest factor. So you got to be present. You've got to be present at school to make all this work. Some of our students have missed the test. Some of our students miss reading. This is to your disadvantage because you're missing information when you do that, and you're missing opportunities. So come to school, unless you have COVID. Reading for fun. So, it's silly, but what makes you a better reader? Reading. How do you get better at driving a car? You don't watch people do it. You drive the car, you get better. So also working hard in all your classes. Every class has reading and writing. It's all preparing you. Sometimes you're going to learn something in history that you never thought of in the English class, but it helps you be a better writer. If you're writing in world history or U.S. history, it's amazing how sometimes when you're in a subject that you really like, it starts to click for you. So work hard in all your classes. Take all your classes seriously. You don't have to take math for the rest of your life or history for the rest of your life, but you got to graduate. So make the most of every class you have and be positive. Sometimes this is a mindset. Don't say I haven't passed. I had a student one time, she said, Miss Brewster, I haven't passed. And I would say, yet. And I made her quit saying that. I made her say, I haven't passed yet. So you have to think like that. You don't put that label on yourself that you haven't passed reading. You just haven't passed it yet. What happens if you don't pass? All right. Well, sometimes you pass at the very end. This is why you want to continue to take those tests, preparing and taking those tests. What's the definition of insanity? Is doing the same thing over and over and expecting a different result. So you're not going to keep taking the test. You're going to keep taking the test. Where did I miss? What do I need to do? Taking the test and just continuing to improve all along. You're going to take them down to the wire. So I'll give you an example. The first year I was at Summerlin, we had 2 students that walked across the stage with empty diploma covers. Nobody knew it but me and the principal. It was not, we didn't announce it. It wasn't in the program. It wasn't a big deal. It looked just like they were graduating, but inside there was not a diploma because they had not passed the reading. But they had taken tests all the way until the end. And their SAT scores came out in July. And I got up one morning and I looked at my email, and there was the test results. And I saw the last 2 students had passed their reading. And I texted, it was Mr. Cochran at the time, and I texted him. I said, guess what? We're at 100%. I was so excited. So when I got to work, I called the guy, and he was down in Key West. And he wanted so bad to join the military. And when I called him, he's like, are you serious? Are you kidding? No, I said, no, I'm really serious. And he said, I can't wait to come home. He said, I want to enlist. That's what I've been waiting for. And he's done very well for himself in the military. And but to be in the military, you have to graduate, and to graduate, you have to pass the test. And then the girl, she was just crying, and she came in and talked to us, and all she had been waiting for was to go be to the police academy and sign up for the police academy. That was her dream. And so a hopeful story here is that she went down and she got signed up, and some things happened in the financial aid office. Her parents had moved and things got kind of weird in there, and something went wrong. And they told her, we need money. You're going to have to pay. She didn't have any money. It went on. And finally they said, your final day to pay is Friday, or you're going to have to get out of the police academy because you have to pay. She had applied some time back for this scholarship. and she couldn't get it because she hadn't graduated. Well, now she's met that graduation requirement. She had over 1,000 community service hours. And when she graduated and met the criteria, they had another scholarship, and she got 3 cents more than she needed. And she said, I prayed and prayed that God would show me a way to get this paid. And sure enough, she got that scholarship once she met her graduation requirement, and she went to the police academy, and she's working as a policeman right now, and she's doing the career that she planned and hoped to do. So the point of that story is that you can't give up. We have one last testimonial for you. And we just want to remind you that it's really important to stay strong. Let us know how we can help you. And we sure do appreciate you taking the time out tonight to come to our presentation. Thank you.
Hi, my name is Cadet Del Toro Juliana, and I am currently a senior at Summerlin Military Academy. And I wanted to talk to you about how I personally passed the reading FSA. I feel like with grit, motivation, perseverance, the pursuit to want to do better, and that's what I lacked. I remember coming into the office, and I remember having a breakdown because I kept studying and I kept failing, and I've actually taken the test over 3 times and I've kept failing. One thing I can say that I was persistent, and that was one of the key factors in all of this. Although I was discouraged, I did not let it take away from my capability. I kept on going, and eventually I ended up passing last year on the ACT and both the FSA. So it's not about one test or another. It's all about the level of commitment and the time and effort you're willing to put into it. That's what's gonna get you to your success. You're going to have to fail 1,000 times in order to succeed, but eventually you'll get there. And that's the best part about it.